He's a pretty decent master. I used to do commentary with the guy on ICC years ago. I used to be a commentator for Chess FM on the Internet Chess Club. And sometimes Brian Wall would work with me. He really has a great sense of humor. Yeah, I'm glad he's still around. It's fun. I think once I let him stay in my hotel room. He was snoring all the night. Always love people that are constantly snoring. So, A takes B3. Dropping a piece. Will Wolf. He's a troll nowadays. We're going down to the trolls again. It's so hard to define troll now. You're talking about like World of Warcraft type of creatures? Or what? We're talking about internet trolls. Okay, Mr. Snickle, you're definitely up. So, let's get some interesting games, guys. I played a Pierce earlier, but I want to go back to the Sicilian a little bit. I think it's called a Moonkin. Yeah, wow, Kasparov. That's amazing, dude. It is called a Moonkin. Brian Wall is a Moonkin. Yeah, that's amazing, dude. How did you remember that? God damn, that's amazing memory. Wow. I haven't played that in I haven't played that in a long time. I could have never gotten Moonkin. That was totally blocked out from my mind. So, yeah, he looks exactly like one of those Moonkin things. But if you go way back in like pre-computer role-playing, fantasy role-playing games, you go back to the 80s and you research a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons, dating myself now, you'll find this creature called an owlbear, which is the inspiration for the Moonkin. So owlbear, it's I don't know if there's any real like mythological basis for this creature, but if there is, Brian Wall is living evidence of its existence. Here, knight takes c6. I had a feeling I've played this position before. Knight takes e3, knight takes d8, knight takes d1, king takes d8, rook takes d1, and like e5 or something. So I feel like here I should just take on c6, and if bishop d4 I have e5. I've definitely taken on e3 before and been like unsatisfied with my position. So weird conversation today here. We're talking about fantasy role-playing games, owlbears, moonkins. But, you know, this guy is funny. For those of you that are not from the US, you'd have to meet him to really understand. But one time he did a really funny thing. We were playing, he likes to play practical jokes. I was playing some action rapid chess tournament, side event at a World Open in Philadelphia. And Brian Wall was, maybe I wasn't playing, I was just spectating, that was it. And Brian Wall was playing this rapid event, and I was watching. And he was playing on board 1 against Grandmaster Michael Rode. And he did like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. They were in vicious time pressure. And he's obviously much weaker than Rode. He'd be happy to get a draw. But Rode is this person who's kind of, he's a very strong player, but he's not really friendly. He's kind of mean to everybody and cold, and I don't know, nobody really likes him because he's never nice to anyone. I don't have anything like concrete against the guy, he's just never really friendly. So anyway, I guess he treats everyone the same way. So Brian's playing him, and they get into vicious time pressure. Brian's pretty strong in blitz. So both flags are hanging. Rode is like mating Brian. And he has seconds left on the clock. But somehow he tricked Rode because both their flags were hanging, and he like shouted really loud like, "You're down!" And I mean, I guess Rode's like clock was ticking and he had seconds left, and like in the time that he looked to see that you know, he lost on time, he couldn't believe it. Like he actually lost on time. So it was like really, really unsportsmanlike and horrifying. You know, he just scared Rode and like made him lose on time because he really believed he lost on time. But it was like kind of funny because, again, like it happened to someone who's just generally not very nice to everyone. So no one really felt sorry for him. But, I mean, obviously, it's like totally unethical thing to do. But you know the moral dilemma. Sometimes, you know, it's funny to see bad things happen to mean people. I'm going to grab this bishop pair. There was a huge scandal ensuing where Rode made like a massive screaming, you know, protest, and all I couldn't even bear to like watch the screaming and crying, but I don't even know what happened. It was embarrassing for everyone involved. Okay, bishop a6. We're taking Mr. Snickle out here. Bishops. Mr. Snickle, that bishop e3 move, yeah, allowing knight g4 there. What's up with that, by the way? You go back. Okay, no. This is normal, but you play knight takes c6, okay? This is a Carol-Clyde's variation. So instead of knight takes c6, you have to play bishop b5 here. I told my Carol-Clyde story last week. Carol-Clyde tried to seduce me and invite me to his house, but I had an informant, and I found out before he was able to seduce me. Kasparov's Putzfrau. What a name. So, Mr. Snickle, yeah, bishop b5, very important move theoretically. I think I played a couple games in that. It's pretty sharp, but I always like playing it with black. This variation with bishop b3, bishop b5. But I think theoretically black's pretty good. Will Wolf's excited. He's spamming the channel. Try to control yourself, Will Wolf. Let everybody else have a chance. Yeah, but you guys earlier last week talked about there's not enough humor on the stream, and need to keep it kind of funny. And yeah, that was why it was always good doing commentary with this Brian Wall, because he was always making jokes, and he's a reasonably strong master. He's not a bad player, so he kept things kind of upbeat. I'm gonna grab this exchange. So guys, the Simul went pretty well last night. I'm gonna keep the time 5:45 Central European time. I'm sorry, 17:45 Central European time. Can't get used to the 24-hour time system here. So might adjust the time control like Big Vash said to the bigger increments though. I can play around with different ways of doling out the 2 hours we have to play a Simul. So 8-5 classical. This is a good time control. Mr. Sickle played too fast. Colorado Springs Open. What is that, like a weekend tournament? 4 or 5 rounds, or what? 6 rounds? But it's not a holiday weekend, right? Is it? Kasparov's Putzfrau. How strong are you, Kasparov's Putzfrau? I'm scared of that. You're higher rated than me. Losing my queen. Is that a good idea? Not really. Second time I almost lost my queen today. I could probably sacrifice my queen for a pawn. Actually, I get a rook, knight, and pawn for it, but I would kind of make the position a little more unclear than needs be here. Faust and Kopi said, "Have I ever played in Denmark?" Chess, no. I played poker in Denmark. No chess. Here we can force a trade of pieces. That's always a good thing when you're up material. So, I don't know, guys. I think that chess streaming is going to be good for me. It's going to improve my game, but I'm still not there yet. struggled in my rapid tournament again. I think it was just a little better than last time. I don't think time was a huge problem. Guess the move, guys. Don't forget about the back rank. So, yeah, you saw it too late. Thanks for the game, Mr. Snickle. GM Will Wolf. Kasparov's Putzfrau is gonna beat me down now. So Eastern time, according to, who could this be? Well, if you're 2472 here, what is that? You're based on 73 games, which is significant. We're going to play a Caro-Kann, something solid. People are always expecting me to play the Sicilian. That's what happened. The one thing I regretted in the rapid tournament, I lost to the Mongolian young woman. I said, she's a men's IM. I can't remember her name. It's like long and it has 2 parts, and I felt like she was almost prepared or something. It was weird. I played the hyper accelerated dragon, and she just reeled off the moves like she had been preparing for a match with someone who played the hyper accelerated dragon. So yeah, I mean, everybody's like well prepared for the Sicilian. I mean, that's one of the problems with playing the opening. Bishop b5 here. Normally not a good move in like a sort of French or something, but I guess white, you know, could justify here. I'm going to try to get my bishop outside the pawn chain. If I do so, though, I'm a little concerned that white has some very strong, maybe like c4 type of ideas. If I play bishop g4. So knight c3, though. That looks pretty modest, honestly. Would have played just the French. Why we know play? You know play because you know next on list, man. Kasparov's Putzfrau was waiting way before you. And that's all there is to it, man. So, bishop g5 now. Yeah. Yeah, that's the girl's name. This is not the easiest name in the world to just, you know, pick up. Dava Demberel Nomen Erdane. Yeah. So this girl is living in Budapest with her father, I guess. The guy's got to be her father. He's playing chess too. He's always there. So she played like an absolute machine against me. I lost. I made one mistake on like move 10. I made one inaccuracy, let's say, and then like one mistake. And basically I was down like a pawn and a half and couldn't get out of the hole. I noticed one thing that's happening to me a lot, though. It happened in my tournament game for the team championship last week, and it happened again yesterday or Friday at the rapid tournament, that because my openings aren't that deeply memorized, I'm not that confident in my game. And what's up here? White losing a piece. You have knight takes d4, bishop takes d7, check, king takes d7, knight a4. Queen b4. c3, knight e2 check. I mean, oh, you have just bishop e3. Knight takes d4, bishop takes d7, king takes d7, bishop e3. So it's not like queen takes d4. I don't know. I think this ending should be okay for me. White has an awful big development advantage there. But still, my structure is awfully solid. I don't know. Will Wolf says, is the girl cute? Yeah, she's, you know, very young. Too young for me to have any kind of romantic involvement, but she's pretty, yeah. Bishop takes c6, queen takes d1. So I decided to go for this. I thought white has development, but the c-file is pretty good. And positionally, I mean, I don't think this bishop on g5, pawn on e5 is all that great for white. And here, we could exchange with bishop c5. You have a tactic, knight takes d5, huh? All about the tactics. Now if I play knight e7, bishop takes a7, knight c6. Maybe we go for that. Maybe not. a6, knight a4. Really need to develop. You have knight b5 now. Sorts of tactical stuff. I don't know. Kasparov's Putzfrau reminds me of Sophia a little bit. Bishop takes a7, knight c6. This is actually kind of what I expected, but I would think that lower my pawn down here, I have pretty reasonable compensation. You know, I'd rather have a pawn down with good compensation than like be equal material and just like worse. I have a good king, better minor piece. The pawn at e5 is kind of weak. So I think at practical level, now you dropped a pawn. You got more tactics or what? Bishop takes, yeah. Rook b1. White's all tactics. Kasparov's Putzfrau, you're like a tactical trickster. But positionally, I don't know, man. You seem a little suspect positionally. All sorts of weird tactical tricks. Everywhere I look, some kind of trick. Here, I really should break up the pawn chain. Maybe f6 at some point. Now that's a pawn. Wow. Look at that. Crazy stuff. Where does Kasparov's Putzfrau come up with these tactics? It's like constant, everything in the position relying on some weird tactics. How do you do that? How do you have a constant supply of tactical tricks to save your position all the time, basically? No. Hey, thanks for the game, man. Interesting. So, Cironte says, I couldn't join your simul yesterday, but I watched for the main part. It looked very natural. Thanks for the compliment. Yeah, I have a kind of positional style. So I'm not like checkmating people for the most part, which makes it kind of hard. The Larry Christensen type of style generally works better for simul players. So, you know, this kind of very aggressive, kingside attacking tactician type of player, I think, does a little better in simuls. I'm kind of like grinding people down in positional games and endings and stuff, and the time really generally has a kind of a problem for me. Zichess, she is very fast. Who are you talking about? This game against Kasparov Putzfrau, I would say interesting player. I'm noticing more and more there's so many players who are like positionally suspect but fantastic tactically that it's a real trend. How many strong tactical players there really are, and they can be like very weak on a positional level. Wasn't really as possible as it is now in the past. Players essentially like master strength based entirely on tactical understanding, and I think it's a lot to do with like training and playing like bullet chess online. This is one of the guys I lost to at the last Rapid tournament was like that. He's like no clue what he's doing strategically, but in tactics he was like flawless. Before the dawn of computer chess, I mean, it really wasn't really possible to play like that, extremely like one-sided. You just couldn't, develop that way naturally. But more and more, I'm seeing that's the case. Here, I guess I can't really justify what I did exchanging on e4. I could sacrifice a pawn here. I think that's probably my best bet. He didn't go for it though. Bishop b5, I thought. Yeah, I know Zichess. Yeah, extremely fast. And I think almost like 90% calculation based, which is very alien for me. But I guess if you're playing bullet, that's all that basically matters. So it's hard for me to appreciate and kind of identify with these players like that, you know, whose entire game is based basically on tactics. Very little consideration of like strategic factors. So here's basically the same pawn sacrifice I was talking about. He just played bishop b5 a move later. I thought I have good compensation. So Kasparov Putzfrau, I don't think played that well in the beginning. He didn't play the opening flawlessly, but he could sack a pawn here with e5 maybe. I don't know. It's not really sacking a pawn. I just want to open lines. No, I don't mean to take away from Kasparov's Putzfrau there, but I'm underestimating a lot of players whose positional play is sort of dubious. This is what happened to me in the other Rapid tournament I was talking about. This guy just played the opening very badly, and I thought, okay, it's a weak player. And then like when the tactical start, you know, the tactical things start, they play like their GMs. So Kasparov's Putzfrau, they're seeing tactics awfully fast, you know. Little tricks like sacking the pawn on b2 or whatever. Multiple like little tactical sequences that were hard to see in that game. I had to calculate. It took me a while to calculate. Like I couldn't take something. And yeah, I'm spending most of my time thinking about strategic factors. So I'm not a bullet player, obviously. We're going to take this pawn now. Kind of like a king's gambit. The age of stockfish and chess tempo, tactics puzzles. Yeah, I mean, ideally you've got to balance the two. You've really got to balance the two. I need to be stronger in calculation and opening preparation as well. But there's a lot of players, they're just unbelievably good tactically, in my opinion. Unbelievably good in tactics that in the past would have meant that they were like GMs, basically. But, you know, I'm seeing players who are rated below 2,000 who are calculating on an extremely high level. So 95, Will Wolf. Queen d6. I really need to get rid of the knight on e5, I guess. But we are a little concerned about a few things here. Like knight c6, knight e7 type of fork. Queen takes d5 ideas. I was talking about Kasparov. Yeah, this Kasparov puts for, I don't know who it is. It could be someone who we know, created a new handle. New account. I think you should really only be allowed to have like one account on Lichess. I don't know what the rules are, but otherwise there's a lot of people like dumping ratings and giving people rating points and stuff. So I don't know what the official rule is, but I have the feeling an awful lot of people have like many accounts here. GM Will Wolf, do you really want to do that? Guess you have nowhere to go, huh? Got your knight trapped there. The age of stockfish. You can take back. Yeah, I would give you a take back here, but your knight's still trapped. Your knight's still trapped on d7 no matter what you do. I mean, I don't think the take back's gonna save you, Will Wolf, in this position. So guys, welcome to my stream. I'm International Master William Pascal. We are streaming on Lichess most every day, Monday to Friday, here on my channel, Slaggy. On Twitch, we have the Sunday Simul, which we did last night. And please check out my YouTube videos. I didn't mention it. I have a channel on YouTube, Video Chess Training. Been going for about a month now, creating at least two or three new videos every week. And so far, so good. Though I need more supporters. Everybody can subscribe and like my videos on YouTube. It helps a little bit. So, for those of you who don't know, I started this whole project about a month and a week ago, and it's going pretty good. I guess I should really go for that knight on d7 before it's too late. Just can't help playing for that attack on g2. So today I'm probably not going to put up any new video because I've got another project. I also work for chesslecture.com, which is a subscription-based chess video site. You guys feel free to check them out over there. I've got to do some work for that site today, and I think this week we'll come up with a couple new videos. A couple games from Aeroflat are really interesting. It's nice when there's a really strong Swiss system tournament like Aeroflat, when the players are just like fighting, you know, tooth and nail to win games. It creates really exciting chess. And here Will Wolf, speaking of exciting chess, getting some counterplay. What about c3? Webcam frozen. Sorry guys, why didn't you tell me sooner? Too big. Scare everyone away. Scare everyone away with that monster-sized cam there. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to lose on time here. Let me try to not lose on time. Theoretically, we should be okay. Wow. So rook d1. Oh, I'm in check. That's convenient. We can't let Willwolf. We can't let Willwolf take us out. Thanks for reminding me about the webcam, guys. I wouldn't have even noticed. Not checking myself out here. The online open source broadcaster is like, it's really buggy. It just randomly does stuff. Just stops working for no reason. But it's free and it's open source, so we like it. But it is kind of weird. It just does stuff, like it just stops working. The webcam just stops working. Sometimes the setup just changes for no reason. The audio just stops like being set. So we can do the best we can, though. Thanks for letting me know that the webcam stopped. It does occasionally do that. I don't know why. I don't know why a lot of things happen. My mom has a funny saying. She says, the older I get, the less I know. And I feel the same way. We are definitely old enough now. Willwolf, buddy. You almost got me with the webcam going down. And I almost like totally let the clock go. Thank God for increments, guys. I'd be losing every game to Willwolf. Nikki Pasto says, want to play? Of course, everyone's welcome to challenging me. Challenge me, even. Try to use good grammar here. Someone says I enunciate too much. That's from living in a foreign country for 12 years. Let's make sure there's no stalemates here. Nikki Paso, you're welcome to challenge me. Anything from like 5 minutes to 10 minutes with a small increment is ideal. So why don't we just play F2, right? There's no stalemate. Yeah. So I didn't originally intend on this being this way all the time, but it's kind of become a kind of... I stalemated. Oh my God. No. It's so weird. I had this strange hallucination that the white king could go to h1. Wow. Good game. Willwolf, your first draw, man. Unbelievable. Holy crap. I said I'm not going to stalemate, and I did. I don't know why. I was like, oh, the h1 square is open. It's okay. Oh, my God. So, Willwolf gets his first draw. I can't believe that's your first draw, Willwolf. What the heck? I feel like I've lost to you before. It's alright. If you can't produce quality chess, we go for entertainment. It was so strange, guys. I had this, like, I was like, oh, yes, it's okay. The h1 square is free. No problem. So bizarre hallucination. So, Ghost Mind. Yeah, Nikki Paso, feel free to challenging... What is with my grammar? God. Feel free to challenging me. I can't even control what comes out of my mouth, let alone, like, not stalemate people. I don't know, guys. I think the simul was too much. The evening morning stream back to back, I think, is just too much for me. So, Rick64, is that you? Nikki Paso? Or is that somebody else? No, Nikki Passo's there now. Okay, Ghostmind, you're up, man. Second draw, it says we played on another account. His other secret account. Okay. Just like I was saying, we shouldn't have secret accounts, guys. But I'm not going to tell. Yeah, that's pretty sick that I went to all the trouble to stalemate him in the end. But it wasn't like I just carelessly made the move. I literally like looked at the board carefully and I was like, you know what? The h1 square is free. In my mind, I don't know how that works, but there was an open square somewhat near his king. So I thought, well, that's enough, you know. As long as there's like a non-attacked square somewhere in the vicinity of his king, then it's not stalemate in my book. I was checking the long diagonal. I was like, okay, there's no bishop on b7. It's okay. Yeah, we need some entertainment. I'm just gonna start like trying to make some horrible mistakes for comedic purposes. But yeah, I mean, if nothing else, I hope to get back to a shadow of my former self. For those of you guys who don't know my history, I've been playing poker like full time for the last 8 years. So everybody's got to cut me a little bit of slack. I'm not really like in like tournament form. So 10 years ago I was pretty strong. I think at my peak I reached probably around like 2480 FIDE in mid tournament, which wasn't a fluke. I was playing very, very well, but since I started to play poker full time, I haven't played. In the last 5 years, I've played like less than 30 tournament games probably. So I'm kind of using the stream and my videos and teaching as a way of actually getting myself back into shape chess-wise. And I just don't feel like I'm there yet. This is just some kind of amorphous Benoni. What Ghostmind is doing here, it's just, believe me, I've done stranger things when I'm bored. But it's obviously not good. Now he weakened his king side. I mean, that's basically just brutal weakness. But it's not enough to force a win. It's not easy to win any kind of closed position, no matter how badly the guy's played. If the position is blocked enough, it takes a long time to break through. Here, I mean, he's going to chase my queen off of h4, and then he can play like h4 and keep my pieces off of h4. So we're going to need quite a bit of work to break the position open. I mean, my f5 break is a little tricky because, well, basically, he might have h4, h5. It's not that easy for black here. The e3 square, he plays knight g2, and it's not easy for me to get at his king. So it's going to take a combination of breaks, basically. So my peak rating was about 2002. So I was 30. 31. I don't know. Something between 29 and 31. Or 31, 32. I don't know. Around 30-ish. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure like I could have reached higher if I continued to play full time. We'll see though. It's not too late. It's not too late. I joke about this all the time, about becoming a GM with the World Senior Championship. But I'd like to do it without winning the World Senior Championship. That's my goal. To become a GM without winning the World Senior Championship. But I need to raise my level because I'm just not playing well enough at the moment. So, but my knowledge is enough. Just the practical element of the game. Here F4, I mean, it just totally owns white. It's going to take a long time to break through, basically. But I'm going to take over the G file, and that'll be that. You know, I think this is actually the easiest way for black to win here. Just the massive space advantage and infiltration down the G file. So guys, check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training. We don't have so many videos there yet, but over time we'll develop quite the library, I think, and trying to do some kind of analysis of games, some opening analysis. We'll do different stuff over there. It's obviously dependent on you guys subscribing and liking to YouTube. Helps me a little bit. Not expecting any viral chess videos, obviously. Bishop d7, and white has no space, so this is over. He should try to hide his king, but where? I mean, there is no safe place. I'll play b5 if I have to, yeah. So it's hard to break through, though. You guys know. As you guys can be well aware. It's, again, like principle of two weaknesses. Usually wins the game. Welcome to the channel, guys. International Master William Pascal. We are taking challengers here. FM Fabian M is challenging me. Fabian M. I haven't seen any FMs on Lee Chess. Pre-moving. I thought I was pre-moving. Your king is coming out to greet me on D2. But Ghostmind, I don't know. Ghostmind likes to mess around in the opening a lot. And this bishop on d6 can get it active. It's kind of a bad piece here. So I'm trying to pre-move. I'm so excited. So we got a FIDE master challenging us. Not every day we get that. I'm thankful. We've had matches against some good players. Everybody's a good player, but some title players. It was Totandrash and my friend Spinal Tap Chess, Pon Bartel. So we've played a couple of IMs, a couple of NMs here. Lee Chess is relatively new, and there aren't that many title players playing here yet. But I think the people will be attracted to the site with time. Still very difficult to break through, guys. It's sort of ridiculous. I'm probably gonna have to use the A pawn now as well. Unfortunately, this bishop on b2 preventing me from playing d4, d3. So it's back to the drawing board, and we're gonna have to use the A pawn and break open the A file. Ghostmind making it absolutely difficult to break through. So what about the chess world, guys? We talked about Aeroflot a little bit. I'd be surprised if Gelfand can keep it up to win enough games. He's so solid. But he's such a strong player, he's kind of intimidating, I think, for the other GMs in that tournament. So it's possible the players like Gelfand and Kamsky who have, they're so strong and their reputation is so strong that it's possible that the average GMs get kind of intimidated. And that can be very, very beneficial for those guys. So a lot of its psychology, comes into play in very very great effect in chess tournaments. The psychology of being an intimidating player, the psychology of the reputation. Why did Grachev lose against Gelfand yesterday? I mean, it looked like he had really serious compensation for the sacrificed pawn. I mean, if I look at that position in a vacuum, it's hard to imagine that it's okay for white to just take the pawn the way that Gelfand did, or at least black has to at least have compensation. I mean, but he just lost the pawn and just folded, basically. So that seems to happen an awful lot when it's the stronger player. People just get intimidated. Kamsky won. Oh, I didn't get to tell this story, guys. That was kind of one of the most interesting games from Aeroflot yesterday. Gata Kamsky playing e4. He also played e4 against me a few years at Foxwoods. I think he's thinking twice about playing the London system. But Kamsky playing e4 against this GM Salem, who I think is from UAE or somewhere like that, played against the Najdorf a4, and it was a Najdorf with a4. This is typical for a non-theoretical strong player to play a4 against the Najdorf. So here, what am I doing? If bishop a4 check, he just plays bishop c2. That's not really going to break through for me. Ghost Mind is kind of sadistic. I mean, masochistic, I should say. Gonna get my terminology correct. He likes to see how tortured he can be and survive. But anyway, Kamsky Salem, right, guys? If you guys check out that game from Aeroflot, Kamsky played a4 against the Najdorf, which is typical positional move designed to avoid theory. And then when Salem played knight c6 there, which we have to look for an alternative because, I mean, generally speaking, knight c6 in the Najdorf, isn't normally what you do, because the whole idea is to use the c file and play knight d7 and stuff like that. So Salem played knight c6, and Kamsky plays a5. And, I mean, he's just sacrificing a pawn. I don't think Kamsky made this up. I mean, it's possible, but he probably saw it somewhere and borrowed the idea. But it's pretty insane. I mean, he's sacrificing a pawn for kind of nebulous compensation. But he trades a lot of pieces and reaches a knightless middle game or something where he's a pawn down. But the important factor is that Salem's king is in the middle of the board, and Kamsky's king in this double pawns on f6 rouser type of position, and Kamsky's king is just safe, and it's interesting. I mean, it just looks like, it's just a calculated risk where he just has this position where his king is safe, the other guy's king is not safe, and he could just outplay the guy. So that was an interesting game to look at, guys. Kamsky's sacking a pawn on move 7 against the Najdorf. Probably been played by somebody else. Pretty crazy idea. Hard to believe it's objectively sound. If you average put it on a lot of computer engines, they're gonna maybe cast doubt on sacking that pawn. But I think an excellent example of where Kamsky's very smart practically. So Kamsky did a couple interesting things. He played the Dutch. He played, now really enterprisingly, with e4 in a game. Finally, Ghost Mind can't hold it together. So that's something, to look at, how the solid Kamskys and the Gelfands of the world can win a Swiss system. Kamsky coming off a tournament win at Capelle. Was it Capelle? One of those big opens in France. So maybe we'll see more of Gadakamsky. I don't know. But he, you know, it feels good because I have some similarities with Kamsky that I'm not that theoretical. And this is going to be mate soon. Ghostmind is not a guy to give up. Wow, I thought you were going to play Knight G4. I didn't stalemate him, guys. It took forever to win this game. That's like one of those barroom bets that you get all the time, that like this person who barely knows how to play chess asks you if you can beat them in like 20 moves. I used to get that all the time, you know. I'll buy you a beer if you can, you know. If you can't beat me in 20 moves, you know, you'll have to buy me a beer. You know, I mean, when you do what Ghostmind did and you just block the position, it's pretty hard to win in less than 30 moves, no matter, you know, how weak the player is. So Fabian M. FIDE Master challenging me to 5-3. Okay, let's give it a try. Fabian, he's new, 118 games, relatively new. Good luck. I don't know if he's watching the stream. Good to play a strong player. We don't get enough title players here. The King's Indian. Maybe the Grunfeld. I'm not that well prepared theoretically, guys. I have to admit it. Not my strong point at this stage. F3, I'm going to play a Simish, and this is like my old repertoire. One of my old repertoires. I've played basically everything like in existence against the King's Indian over the years. I've tried every variation. Now, Fabian's sacking the pawn here. B5, not a very trendy line. With A6 immediately. Wow, interesting. So I guess I just play A4. I haven't played this position at all in years. Now Rook A3, I guess. That's the standard recipe in this kind of position. So when they capture on B5, I mean, the Rook is protected. So Fabian thinking here. B5 never really was a very popular system against this setup, but I suppose that it's playable. I don't really see why not, and it kind of makes sense. Benko type of idea. Very sharp here. Now E6 looks kind of dangerous for me, to be honest. Pawn takes E6. I don't really like letting him take there. But we have other options. We could play maybe Bishop D2 here. Not really sure. Bishop D2, pawn takes D5, knight takes D5. You know, we could do some kind of crazy thing where we let him open the E file and put our king on F2. But I don't really like putting my king on F2. It's very dangerous. Queen D2. Yeah, actually, why not Queen D2? Queen D2, pawn takes pawn is the problem. I mean, the long diagonal will end up like maybe being a problem for me. Maybe not. Let's try this. I'm totally out of book here, guys. Can't remember the last time I played the Bishop G5 same as somebody played B5 against it, honestly. I have no idea if Black is like making it up or if he's actually like prepared this as a variation. Kamsky Benko setup. Why Kamsky? I was just talking about Kamsky. I don't think Kamsky plays the Benko. He's playing the Dutch now. So what's up with this? Once again, guys, I guess I could play pawn takes pawn here. And after rook e8 check, play king f2 like it's some kind of weird sort of Trompowsky type of line. But I mean, it looks kind of dangerous. I thought I'd do knight takes d5 and sack the pawn on b2, honestly. That was my plan. Get the queens off the board. The queen's pretty dangerous as far as my king is concerned, and if I get rid of that piece, it seems like my king is much, much safer than it was prior to that. Now, I don't necessarily have to take with the king on d2 here, but it seems to make sense from a kind of development standpoint. King takes d2, knight takes d5, pawn takes d5. Bishop takes b2, rook b3. Looks strong to me. So you hear the sound of the rain in Budapest for the 17th time this month. Pawn takes d5. And it's kind of where I ended my analysis, guys. I just thought, if he takes on b5, that's okay with me. And if he takes on b2, that's okay with me. And the jury's out here as to what's really going on. Maybe he has something better. It wouldn't surprise me. I'd like to, complete my development with knight e2, knight c3. We are up a pawn, for whatever that's worth. Yes, generally speaking, yeah, this is kind of greedy. There's all sorts of bad things that can happen to me if I go for that. Bishop h6 check. The d file, if I take it, can be bad. But, this is calculation-based stuff that I don't do enough of. So 97, I think this is the best move that black could play there. Basically by process, POE, right? Process of elimination. Yeah, I want to get developed here. I want to get developed. These pieces are not in the game. And it's a classic problem in a Samish King's Indian. So he has a small dilemma. I don't know. If he takes on b2, play rook b3, and I can play like b6, which could be dangerous. But now, yeah, I mean, this is a huge piece, guys. He just gave up. This is just, but maybe it's okay for him. My king feels a whole lot safer, honestly. Without the dark squared bishop on the board, it just feels like my king can breathe. Knight takes d5 now. Black's not really threatening anything, but I'm not sure what I'm doing. That's the thing here. Maybe just develop. Just develop with bishop d3. The two bishops should be pretty monstrous in this kind of position for white. He has weaknesses around his king side. Material is equal, but my development's good. The two bishops should guarantee me an edge. Bishop e7, the B Johnson, no, Nick Pasu, but I don't have bishop e7. You mean earlier, maybe, but I was a little bit concerned about my development. We have an outside pass pawn. We have the two bishops. So black is fighting for a draw here. We have a better king. If you look at chess like I do, like in terms of like accumulating small advantages, white has just enough that it's very significant here. King, bishop pair, outside pawn, fairly active development, weak pawn on d6. Played rook a5, and he's a little paralyzed here, but he's blockading my passed pawn. Not really sure what I want to do. I c4 is a move that I'm kind of unsure about allowing, basically. But feels like I should have done something different. He has knight b6, then I guess I have to use my king to protect this pawn. Maybe c4, the move prior, was even better. Bishop e7 here doesn't really do anything. King d3, king c3. It's kind of hard for both sides to make progress right here. This pawn looks very weak, though. Okay, I mean, I'm obviously going to have to take. And his knight is pretty scary. But I don't see anything concrete for him. I mean, my king is capable of running to safety on the other side of the board. Doesn't have anything on the d file. My bishop can come back. This pawn is kind of weak now. I'm a little bit better. I don't know if it's enough to win. That move looks kind of tricky. Threatening to win a piece or something. Bishop c4. Wow. He has that. Jeez. Oh, now he's winning the pawn. Okay. I guess it's a draw now. Okay, well, that's a blitz game for you guys. We were better, but play one more game here against Fabian M. Kind of exhibition, mini exhibition match against his FIDE master. We were better there. Then I'll get back to your challenges. I'm not going to play the Hyper Accelerated Dragon, guys. Or should I? Yeah, we'll play it. I guess once you fall off the horse, you have to get right back on. I lost a bad game in the Rapid Tournament I played on Friday to aforementioned Mongolian IM lady. Young lady. She also played d4. The same position, but she took with the queen on d4. Fabian M is hiding his secret identity. He's not represented by a country. Doesn't have that profile thing set up. It's interesting though, he didn't play the Marazzi, which is so dry and boring. I'm glad to see like when they don't play c4. I was getting an exchange, really? Wow. I totally missed that, guys. So here, I thought about a5, bishop b3. A5, the Ugle variation, I think they call it. Ugle. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It's kind of a move that discourages white from castling queenside. Okay, thanks for watching the stream, Fabian. He's from Vienna. So, excellent, man. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate playing stronger players here. And yeah, I had this game against a friend of mine the other day. Actually, it happened twice that this position has cropped up. The team championship, my second board had this position with white against a Slovenian guy last Sunday. And he played queen d3 here. And my friend Salansi Emil played rook e1 against me the other day in a blitz game. So white's trying a little bit of everything. But the other day in the team championship, when board 2 played queen d3, the other guy offered a draw and my teammate accepted it. I was pretty upset about it because, you know, it's a team championship and like I have a really tough opponent on board 1 and I'm black, and I thought that maybe we could get like a package deal where I get a draw against a higher rated player on board 1, and we give a draw like against a lower rated opponent on board 2. But my teammate just accepted the draw like instantaneously from the guy in this position where he's white, you know, and he's slightly better. And I thought, man, that's a disaster. So when you guys play in a team championship, remember that you know, it's allowed to like talk to your team captain and discuss things like whether it's okay to take a draw or not, because in this case my teammate, you know, he didn't consult anybody and he just accepted a draw in a position where, you know, we could probably make a deal with the other team to agree a draw on 2 boards. I ended up losing, and it's kind of a disaster for my team. So here we're gonna go for kind of risky play. But we've traded the dark squared bishops in this dragon, which is kind of unusual. And Mikloping talking about the queen takes d4 is not very good. After knight c6, queen a4, black gets quicker development. That's the line that the Mongolian IM played against me. You know, queen takes d4, knight c6, queen a4, and white played e5. And queen a4, queen b3. In all lines, in that queen takes d4 accelerated dragon, basically black should be okay, but like most openings, it's not that easy. It's hard to say though if it's better or worse than the more standard lines. So Fabian here went knight e3. This is an interesting move. I just kind of dismissed it because it's like trading pawns. But actually, I could play knight c5 now. Knight c5, knight c4 I was looking at. And we're going to end up trading pawns one way or the other, it looks like. He could also just play knight c5, f3 or something really kind of, you know, a little bit ugly, but like just stopping it, and my d6 pawn is very weak. So really sure what my follow-up is here. I should probably think about it before I play. Bishop takes e4, queen takes d6, and then figure it out. This is what like makes people lose chess games, you know. I'll figure it out like later, kind of at mentality. That's not enough. I mean, you have to concretely calculate stuff. So knight c5. I guess I'm gonna go with this. Bishop takes e4, queen takes d6. Looks a little sketchy. The knight is strong on c5. He could play f3 here, but it's a little ugly. I certainly have options. He can also play knight c4, like guaranteeing exchanges. So guys, I'm going to play one more game here, and then I'm going to play, well, we've got another 45 minutes, so I'm going to back to the other viewers and play you guys. I really appreciate playing against FIDE Master Fabian from Vienna, my neighbor here in Hungary, Austria. We're not that far apart. Budapest and Vienna, not very distant from each other. The Habsburg monarchy. Let's see. F5 is definitely like something you can consider, but it's very risky positionally. So I think I'd prefer to just kind of hang out and maybe I can keep some pressure on him. But how? Rook a6, not crazy either. Maybe like laterally defending d6 in some lines. Not an unusual move in this kind of position. That would give him time to play bishop c4 and b3 though, and kind of consolidate, I think. Get rid of these arrows, guys. Okay, it's kind of not a lot of time here. I'm gonna make a decision. So I guess we'll play like queen c7. Queen c7 or queen e7. Hard to decide, like in the King's Indian, you know, where to put your queen. I don't know. This guy, looking at these dark squares, kind of hard to do anything though. I have a good knight. I'm keeping pressure on a4. But white's very solid. f5 is very dangerous for me, like positionally. Though I could do it. I could do it, especially if I'm more prepared. Like if I had time to play king h8 and rook d8. So he played this c3 move, giving his bishop a retreat square and ultimately like hoping to oust my knight from c5, perhaps. Interesting. We do have e6. So king h8 is interesting here. Threatening to play f5 sometimes. He plays this bishop d5. It's interesting. It's not a huge threat because I can. He's kind of squeezing me positionally. I can take back with a pawn, which he doesn't really want because it brings a pawn toward the center. So this game is getting pretty tense right now when we're both getting low on time. Kind of like the last game. Pretty good game. Now he takes and he kind of fixes my pawn structure, but he has b4 now. Interesting. I don't really want to take, but he's going to undermine my looks like he's going to undermine my center. What can I do about it? It's like a Sveshnikov or something. I mean, if he gets a knight on d5, he gets a knight on d5. You know, I've got to just like live with a knight on d5. That's all there is to it. So b5, so be it. And we could put our knight back on c5 here. We really need to take, I guess. Take. Or knight f4 maybe. Knight f4, trying to challenge the knight on d5. Trades it. And white's better with this passed pawn he's got. Maybe we have some play on the king's side. Not too much, though. I don't know if that was the best move by me. Do have sort of problems here. Can check. Play queen b6 maybe. Not a lot of time, and he's got a powerful passed pawn. Although I have a passed pawn too, so it's not that easy. Actually, I should use this passed pawn. Yes, yeah, I should use the passed pawn definitely. Not really sure. He's a little better, but the outside pawn's kind of a wild card, so I might be okay. I mean, positionally he's better with the protected passed pawn, but this outside pawn makes life a little difficult for him. And he simplifies here. Yeah, this should be a draw, I guess. Looks like an equal rook ending. Oh, this way, okay. So, anyway. I offered him a draw here. I think this is a draw. Okay, thanks a lot, Fabian, for the games. I think pretty good positional games. Not a lot of fireworks, but it was fun. Thank you for watching the stream, and thanks for joining. Hopefully we can play again. Let's play back to the challengers here. Rick64 has been waiting for a game for a while, guys. Yeah, I thought this was kind of a typical game, guys, in Accelerated Dragon there. He played pretty well. Pretty conservative positional style player. Not a wildly aggressive player. He played controlled sort of chess. But we were worse in that game, and I thought a draw was a good result because we definitely felt kind of backward on the d file, and white had achieved a small advantage. So I thought, now Rick64 here plays c3. This is generally not a good idea. I mean, you're not losing anything, but it's a bit too passive in general. So once again, thanks to Fabian for the games. Guys, don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training. We're going to put up some new videos. Various stuff every week. We'll be doing opening analysis. Whoops. Nick Passo, I'm going to accept your challenge next. We've got different things on tap for the YouTube channel. D6 here. Kind of wondering, though, with the strange C3, you know. If I play D6, he can play Queen B3, but kind of interesting position. Knight F6, E5, and Knight D5, I have to sack a pawn. Rat deals DMG. I like the name. Oh, it's him. Okay, I didn't play Bishop D5 because the bishop takes A4. You didn't play Bishop D5 because the bishop takes E4, even though it looks greedy. I don't think I can punish the capture. So Queen F3 here. Wow, with the double threats like C6 and I'd probably have to play E6. Wasn't really my plan. Actually, having said that, maybe I can play Knight F6, E5, pawn takes pawn, bishop takes check, bishop D7. My structure is real weird there, though. This looks like one of these homemade variations. Who was it that we were playing recently that played like this? There was another guy who'd been, I think from Russia, who was playing us a few weeks ago or a week ago. Played a similar setup with white. Hey, this kind of reminds me of a modern defense, but I had the feeling I had better. I have a strong center, but my development is pretty slow. I've got to be careful that the bishop on C6, C8, wherever, it doesn't become a bad piece, guys. This kind of structure. I'm not not really happy. I think I had better. Might be bad, but I don't like it when my opponent plays c3 versus my Sicilian. I don't like it when my opponent plays c3 on the first chance they get, like on move 2. Move 2 or 3 are the ones that bother me. If it's later than that, it's okay. So this structure looks like a Mora Gambit or something. Okay, this time control is too fast. 3-1. I thought it was like 2 or 3 second increment, guys. Okay, so Rick 64. Guys, remember to give me a 2 or 3 second increment. The 1 second is not quite enough, and try to make the base time basically 5 minutes or greater. Call it base time. I don't know what you call it. What do you call it? Is it base time? What do you call the first time control now that we have increments all the time? The base amount. Whoops. So I don't like, what am I doing here? He went back to c1? What am I doing? Bishop takes e7. That's the one thing I don't like about this interface, is that you click on things and they just happen. The only reason I like the dedicated chess interface rather than the web-based one is that when you randomly click on stuff, things start to pop up. This is, by the way, the first. I mean, I've played like a few games on chess.com, but I haven't played really a lot of chess until I played on Lichess on a web-based site. I keep forgetting I'm going to lose on time. We have 1 second to move. If we move instantly every move, we'll be okay. Get off that file. Play d5. This bishop on c8 is a bad piece, guys. Gotta get that out in the game. Actually, by playing queen b7 didn't really help our cause. But anyway, we won it on the dark squares here. I didn't really help myself by playing queen b7. He played rook b1. It's not the most useful move in the world to give him for free. So let's get this bishop in the game. Now he has tactics on the diagonal, like take c4 or something. I'm not worried about that. I could play bishop a6, but I'm actually looking for more. Hoping my bishop on the long diagonal is going to be like a very strong piece. Maybe it's too optimistic. I should take the pawn on e5. Okay. Hit and run. Maybe I'll grab another one. Nah. We're not going to grab another one. Nick 6-4, Rick 6-4. Did I say Nick 6-4 before? Sorry if I did. This time control was just too fast, dude. So, for both of us. I'm trying to talk, and I don't have enough time. Guys, we did a simul. We're doing a simul every Sunday. Man, this is crazy. We're down to our increment here. Let's trade queens. Pre-moving. Why did I don't even know why I'm doing things I'm doing. Oops. I just sacked a pawn for nothing. That's good. This is really degenerated. And now it's just totally random. Why didn't I take his knight there? So that's why we don't play 3-1. Swidler held Kasparov in their first game of the pawn sack and the c3 Sicilian. Yeah, I don't like the c3 Sicilian because it's too good. Alright, Nicky Passo, I promised you a game. You got it. 5-4 increment. Guys, we're streaming here another half an hour. Italiano. So, that's cool. We haven't had anyone say they're from Italy in the stream. Mostly European players. We get some Americans, though. It's really late there. Yeah, I'm out, like, totally out of theory in the Grunfeld now. I used to play the modern exchange variation with white, but I'm afraid to play that because it's just too theoretical now. Everybody knows everything. And what am I doing here? No, wait a minute. We have time now. I'm like playing too fast because of the 3-1 increment. Bobby Richards says I'm American. I'm American too, Bobby. but I bet you're more tired than I am. No, it's so late for you guys in America. I'm in Budapest. I did the simul though, Bobby. You can check out my simul on Sundays if you have time. The simul is at like 12 noon USA time. 11:45 a.m. yesterday. So go back in time to yesterday and sign up. Queen A5. Yeah, I don't remember now. I guess I have to take on D5. This is old theory, like Kasparov, Karpov type of stuff. I'm just trying to think what's a safe move for white in this position. A safe move to kind of avoid like mainstream theory. It's a little late for that, I guess. Oh boy. Queen D2, Rook D8 type of stuff. Queen D2 is not really a great square for the white queen. I guess I just have to take on D5. I mean, there's really nothing else to do. Take on D5, knight E4. Take on D5, knight E4. What is the theory there? But then he's on that pawn too many times. Rook C1, I guess. I mean, Rook C1 is a standard idea. Guarding C3. This is theory, I guess. Bishop takes C4. If you guys are wondering why I'm so clueless, it's because I don't really play this variation with white. I just want to play it. You know, I'm kind of interested in playing the bishop f4. Grunfeld. So the only way to learn is to do it. And here, bishop e3 or bishop e2 or queen e2. Queen e2 is kind of an interesting move, like developing. If he plays bishop g4, I don't mind taking with my g pawn, getting a bishop pair. So I'm not afraid of him doubling my pawns in this position. I have really good structure. This is a pretty useful pawn on f3. It's not bad for white. But I think that Nicky knows this position. He's playing very quickly. I guess this is all pretty standard. I guess knight e5, queen h5. What does white continue with here? You could even do like knight h5, probably. Rook c8. Okay, now obviously it's time to save that piece from being taken off. So I don't know. I mean, white's got the messed up doubled pawn, but that should be pretty well compensated by the bishop pair. So this is a pretty strong piece. And like in a Rubinstein French or something like that, I mean, my king is pretty good actually. F4. These f pawns are quite useful. I play so many positions with double f pawns. The black side of the Trompowsky, the black side of the Richter-Rauser, Caro-Kann. So it's kind of a personal thing. I just really feel comfortable playing positions with doubled f pawns. Get all the pieces in the game, but white doesn't have much. You know, it's symmetrical, like a little bit symbolic advantage with the bishop pair. So e5. Let's see, guys. Knight d5 here drops a piece. Looks like black's kind of weakening himself on the long diagonal, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it. On the other hand, I mean, we should be happy he's undoubling our pawns. So pawn takes pawn. King is pretty safe, actually. We could play king h1 at some point. But I don't know. Knight e5. He may go after my bishop. He may go after my bishop at some point. So I'm not really sure. Could force a trade of queens with queen b5. I mean, it seems like it eliminates the danger from the position and leaves me in an ending where I could possibly have a tiny edge. We're getting low on time, so I think it's a practical decision. We have knight d6. We have this knight hanging on e5. Maybe we're hitting the a7 pawn. Trying to get something against f7. He's got vague threats of knight d3, but you know, we can get on the 7th rank too, so I'm not sure. You know, I don't think we're worse here. We're definitely not worse. After rook on the 7th. Threatening knight d6. Got a triple attack on f7. And bishop pair at the moment. So this is hanging, and our b2 pawn is hanging, but it's not really significant. Knight takes f7. Pretty strong discoveries, like knight g5, knight e6 type of stuff. Could be problematic for black. Have like all of his pieces on this diagonal. Knight d3, that controls e5, so it loses a piece, right? Okay, thanks for the game, Nikki Paso. I gotta play other people, so definitely play you next time. Rose Junkie. I'd like to play a rematch with everybody. If you play me off stream, guys, I will play a rematch. My normal policy is to play like minimum 2 games. I think that's like good, you know, ethically. Give somebody a rematch, especially if like you were white in the first game. But because of the stream here, I'm basically limiting most people to 1 game, unless it's like a mini exhibition match against FIDE Master Fabian. Sheppy13, welcome to the stream, guys. C takes d5, knight takes d5 is the theory. Queen a4 is safe. I know, Sheppy. I was strongly tempted to play queen a4, but it seems like, you know, I mean, you feel like such a bunny, you know, playing queen a4 like you're scared or something. It's like, it feels like you're just you're terrified by playing queen a4. I was tempted to play it. I know it's a common theme there. So knight c2. Speaking of Austria, I wonder who that. Well, Fabian, I don't know, but I did play an Austrian player who played knight c2 against me years ago. I think he became an IM. I don't remember the name. Knight c2. I'm terrible with names, guys. I'm really good with faces, but terrible with names. So here, knight c3. Why not? Why not play knight c3? Bishop c5? Should I play that? Am I supposed to play bishop c5? I think I'm supposed to play this, theoretically. Force white to play e3. Then maybe go back to e7. Because he's threatening knight a4 now. Knight a4, yeah. So we force him to play this semi-passive move and then turn it into a hedgehog. I'm not really sure this is right, but I couldn't remember. Whatever it is, it's like playable for black. Feels weird to give him a free move there, honestly. A little bit odd to give him the free move. His knight's a little passive here, but not bad in a Marazzi type of position. He can play e4 now. And I'm going to have to be careful. My teammate lost a very similar position to this. One of my other teammates who lost. He lost a position almost identical to this in the team championship last week. My friend, Tiglash Balash. It was pretty ugly. Queen on c7. The guy got a knight d5 type of Sicilian piece sacrifice on black, and it was like rook on c1. Something like this position could become, actually. I have to watch out for that. Definitely don't really want to put my queen on c7 if I can help it here. Not to walk into something like rook c1. But I think the position was different. I don't think that white had the knight back on c2. So Mikloping talking about a Svidler series on the Grunfeld. Very excellent player in the Grunfeld, Peter Svidler. So what's up? I'm pre-moving for my opponent here. We want to play b5 and or maybe d5. I was thinking a7 for my queen, actually. White doesn't have a very aggressive setup. I mean, that's how we justify playing like bishop c5 and losing a tempo in the first place. So here, bishop d7, I guess. I'm a little bit worried about something here. So I might have to play rook d8 first, because this this idea and hitting d6. And I play bishop f3. Which I'm not sure, does a whole lot. I've been playing the Sicilian all my life. I also play the hedgehog against the English sometimes. I've played the hedgehog against a lot of good players successfully, so I feel pretty confident in this type of position for black. It's a good way to play for a win. I've had very good results in the hedgehog. Lots of good players couldn't beat me. So he played e4 now. Yeah, this bishop looks very suspect in this position now. And a bit of an unusual square for my queen there. But I don't really want to put it on c7, walking into those kind of knight d5 sacrifice ideas that I talked about earlier. We're preparing to play b5. So guys, we have about 20 minutes left for the stream today. Welcome to anybody who just joined us. Oh, for Chess24, yeah. Chess24 is a kind of interesting site. I saw like Jan Gustafsson does a lot of videos over there. I don't know if he's one of the creators of the site or what. He works a lot on Chess24. German Grandmaster. 12-hour series. That's a lot of material. Wow. Okay, so do we have b5 here? We have b5, but it looks like we're going to have to trade a lot of pieces to get that in. We could play knight e5 and b5, though. The knight on d4 is... I really want to trade pieces. Although theoretically, I guess I should. I could take on d4 and play bishop c6. Take on d4 twice and play b5. Kind of theoretically the thing to do. But the white pieces aren't bad there. And I feel like kind of backward on the d file. So maybe we can keep the tension here a little bit longer. Just improve our position somehow. I feel like if knight e5 would just help him to go back where he's actually kind of... maybe b5 first is interesting. b5, pawn takes pawn. Knight takes d4. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just getting the same position anyway. Rose Junkie's pretty tough. I may have to just resort to kind of shuffling my pieces here. Feels wrong to do that. Knight e5. Really, I need to play d5 somehow. I don't know what to do, guys. I'm just going to do the natural plan. Theoretically, I mean, getting in b5. But I don't think it's a big deal. I think white's fine here. Honestly, I wanted to play for more. I don't really know, what the best move was for black. But this feels like kind of too simple, If I'm trying to win with black, I need to find some way to complicate the position. It feels like this simplifies, and I mean, anybody can hold this position for white, pretty much. There's a few bad things that can happen. I mean, maybe his a pawn becomes weak on the a file. Maybe his e4 pawn. But my d6 pawn is very weak. So, got a couple challenges left. I think we have time for those games. Bayer Ozen Darling. Bahadir Ozen Darling. It's long enough. And GM Wilwolf wants a rematch. I don't know, Wilwolf. We'll see. We'll see if you deserve a rematch. You're always like lengthening my streams by this last minute rematch games. How's life in Hungary versus the USA? Yeah, it's really weird. I get homesick a lot. It's not about so much the place, It's just about your friends and things like that. But I don't mind. I have friends here. But I feel just a little alien. I mean, the language, I understand Hungarian, but I don't communicate that well. It's not that easy. What about this position now? b5. d5. e5 is interesting. Try. If you want to complicate the game, you could play d5. That's complicated. It's a little crazy. Let's try it, though. I wanted some complications. We're going to go for it. Trying for imbalance, I'm basically trading pawns to create an imbalanced pawn formation, where maybe these pawns become weak. Theoretically, I have a better pawn structure. He has 2 Isolanis and I have 1. He or she. I don't know if Rose Junkie is a he or a she. But he or she is a pretty strong player. Has given me some tough games. Now knight takes d5 is possible here. But e5 is hanging. I think I prefer to just keep the structure solid. And play bishop d6. Kind of consolidate. And hopefully we blockade. Got the 4 against 3 on the king side where we're a favorite. And the a pawn is much more of a weakness than my b5 pawn at the moment. That's kind of what you have to do, guys. I mean, find ways to ways to win, ways to create problems for your opponents. This was a basically equal position where by playing d5 I was able to create some imbalance in a position I would otherwise not win. Not sure I really want to play b4 here. Looks pretty good, kind of fixing the pawn on a2. Not sure I want to play f5, guys, because f5 would create a kind of weakness on my own e-pawn. Regarding all the entry points, we hit a5. We hit the d5. We double on the a file. It's going to be a little awkward for white here. Ooh. Now we have b3. Alright, Rose Junkie. Thank you for the game. Bahir Ozen Darling. Bahidir. Sorry, I don't know why I want to say Bahir. Welcome, everybody. We got 10 minutes left in the stream today. It was fun, though. Calidus, what are you guys talking about? It might be Bahidir Ozen himself, an FM from Turkey. Yeah, okay. Maybe not. Maybe it's a Bahidir Ozen fan. It's Bahidir Ozen's darling. So, I don't know Bahidir Ozen. Does he play the Mora Gambit? This is a pretty new account, guys. 29 games. Oh man, this is bringing back terrible memories. This is how I didn't make my GM norm. I lost to Sadin Robovic in this position. It's just unbelievable. The one tournament where I just needed to draw one more game and I lost this. Very unusual order of moves for white. Bishop c4. I never really bothered to learn what to do there, but now we've transposed back to normal theory. Well, we will probably transpose. I shouldn't say transposed. Now it's normal. Yeah, guys, the one tournament where I had basically a really good chance for a GM norm, I lost in one of these things. Bishop f4 right away. Interesting. So, white with the tricky move orders. Bishop b3 though. What is that? What's that about? You trying to play bishop a4 or something? It looks like white's trying to play bishop a4. I mean, is that what that's about? I would think I should consider bishop g4. Bishop a4, maybe I have knight d7. It was a very bizarre move order by white. He played kind of purposefully. I mean, bishop f4 very early. But now he might end up just kind of down the tempo. Actually, not a useless tempo, though. Bishop b3 is kind of a reasonable prophylactic move for white here. Because oftentimes I'm threatening like knight e5, forking pieces and stuff. So I think this is quite reasonable. Though maybe I should play knight d4 there. Now I should almost definitely play knight d4. Though he still has check on a4. Okay. So it's starting to look like kind of standard Mora for this line. But Bahidir has played very tricky order of moves from the beginning. Tricky bishop c4, then tricky bishop f4, tricky bishop b3. Lots of move order tricks. Now knight a4. He's got all these tricky moves lined up. Knight a4. Maybe I have to play knight d7 now. Now, knight d7, queen g3. b5. I can't play b5. This piece is hanging all the time. The problem is if I play knight e5, he takes it and plays knight b6. My rook is like stuck on a7. Very, very awkward. Knight d7, and then queen g3, king h8, bishop takes d6, bishop takes d6. Doesn't look good for me. I could play queen c7 maybe. It looks a bit odd, but you know what? I'm gonna do it. Kind of unusual here, but this is a very specific position. I would never normally go back. I I could have played queen. No, not queen a7. Yeah, this is a strange position. He doesn't have the normal knight d5 sacrifice. I'm stopping him from going into b6. If queen g3, I have knight h5. So there's like a multitude of reasons why queen c7 makes sense here. Whereas normally you wouldn't do that. Now here, maybe I can improve. He's threatening knight d5, sort of. Do I have time for knight e5 now? Now knight e5, take knight d5 is too strong for him. So queen a5 maybe. Queen a5, bishop drops a pawn. I don't know, maybe it's just a draw. It's weird. I don't really see how I can make progress here. I just don't see a move for black. I need to find another square. I thought about queen a5 here. It drops a pawn. It just drops a pawn. Knight e5 allows take knight d5. Which seems to win material for white. So I don't know. He's threatening knight to d5. Alright. Interesting game. I would replay, but we've got another player waiting. GM Will Wolf, last game. Thank you for the game, Bahadir. So I don't know how much of that you've got like worked out, but I'm interested to look at that game off stream to check it out, because I think you played a very interesting move order. The real Bahadir would violently flag without remorse. Maybe not. It was like a casual game, not rated, so you never know. What are we doing here? You played d5 too early, Will Wolf. And now h3. This is what the Encyclopedia of Chess Openings gives as the refutation of this. Neo Grunfeld, or whatever you call it. h3, guys, very important move. The Green Encyclopedia? No, was it Green? So Grunfeld with knight on b6, yeah, it's kind of suspicious for black, but playable. I would rank it kind of similar to the Scandinavian, where I lost in the Simul yesterday against Mac and Cheese, this national master from the US. Destroyed my Scandinavian. I don't know what I was doing there, but it was something like this. It is similar kind of position to this, where actually I'm not sure bishop e3, but I've got to make a move. Black has a hard time getting enough pressure on the center, basically. No, I never met Bahadir Ozen. No, I don't know the guy. He sounds kind of legendary. So here, we're going to play like for bishop h6. But GM Will Wolf, that's not our only idea. This might be one of those positions when we should actually play e5. Kind of stuff black up. Because all his pieces are kind of clogged behind the e5 pawn. And while this is generally like not a good idea to kind of create a weak square on d5, I think in some instances it's pretty strong. I could even like follow up with a kingside type of attack. And GM Will Wolf just giving me a piece. GM Will Wolf, what are you doing? Alright guys, kind of anticlimactic game there. I'm going to close down the stream today. It's time to go. Very interesting chess today. Thanks for the stream. We will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central European time. And the jury's still out on the Smith-Morra there. I don't know. We're going to look at that in the off-stream downtime and see if Bahadir Ozendarling knows what he's doing or not, or he was just bluffing me. But looked like kind of interesting move order for white in the Smith-Morra. He's also a full tempo down from the bishop d2 Grunfeld right. Good point, Sheppy13. This does look like a bishop d2 Grunfeld. Thanks for the stream, guys. So that guy apparently drew against Wesley So. Okay, I'll check out the Turkish player Bahadir Ozen, and I didn't know about him. Everyone, I'm going to see you tomorrow, and check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and don't forget to follow me here on Twitch, Slaggy on Twitch. So, and on Leech S too. So see you guys later. Thanks for the stream. I'm out of here.